Welcome back to the studio. I'm Guru Kathryn, founder of Geode Blockchain and guide for your spiritual and personal journey. If you like what you hear today, you can book time with me directly to talk about anything you'd like to talk about. So thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the 11 stages. What are they and the basics of how to work through them. So let's get into that. So the 11 stages are what you figure out if you go research everything you can about the personal journey from the psychological perspective, from the spiritual perspective, from the financial perspective, from the physical perspective, from all of these different perspectives. You go out there and you would find amazing researchers and psychologists and spiritual folks like Robert Keegan and James Fowler III, like Jane Lovinger. Her work does not get enough press. Sri Aurobindo, Maslow's hierarchy, and so many others, right? If you do all that research, which I did, and then if you go through the personal journey yourself, which I did, and I'm always doing, and you end up, reading everything from all the books, Tim Ferriss and classics like The Art of War and The War of Art, and Tara Brach and spiritual books by Yogani and others. And there's just so many, fantastic books out there. And you go and you read all of the books to help you develop yourself. So take the research and take all the content of those books. And if you put it all together, what you will figure out is that if you had just read those books in the right order, you could have gone through this a lot faster. You could have really accelerated getting to that point where you are generally happy with yourself and feeling purposeful, right? Getting to that point where like, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. And then you take it even further, right? But just getting to that point where you wake up and you feel like I'm stuck or something's not quite right or I don't feel purposeful or something you don't like and you're trying to get to a good place. You can get there a lot faster than what most of us do. Most of us take, I don't know about y'all, but like a decade to get to that point. And it doesn't have to take that long. So if you just read the books in the right order, if you just ask the big questions of yourself in the right order, come up with those answers and work on that, work on the right things in the right order, this whole process of self-discovery and self-understanding can be done in 1/10 of the time. So that's where the stages come from. So when I put all that together and I studied that, the whole process, based on my own journey, because I was frustrated that it took so long because I'm impatient. And that's when I realized that all the work of all these different people actually daisy chains together. So, Robert Keegan had found the early stages, mostly of childhood development. James Fowler had found some of the mid to late stages in terms of spiritual development. Sri Aurobindo kind of rounded that out. Jane Lovinger found a whole swath in there that overlapped. And so that's what you get when you put it all together. When you put it all together, there are 11 stages that you are psychologically in terms of how you identify yourself, what you think you are, or what your identity is based on. And you are in one of those 11 stages every second of your existence in this incarnation. From the moment you're born to the moment you exit, you are in one of these 11 stages every single moment. And there are no exceptions. If you're a human being, you are working through these 11 stages. I don't care what country you're from. I don't care what religion you are. It's all the same for all of us. It is absolutely universally human. And so what you end up with is a cycle that looks like that. And there are better diagrams of this on my website at KathrynColleen.com and at lastingpeace.org. that you can enjoy and learn from. So it's a cycle. That's the first thing I want you to understand. It's not a staircase of, I'm going to achieve these 11 stages and then I'm good. Nah. No, we as human beings, we cycle. Everything is cyclical. We are organic beings. So we go through this cycle over and over and over and over. And what makes it so awesome is if you actually understand what these stages are, you can decide which ones you want to be in, recognize where you are, and move yourself there. Because some of the stages can be unpleasant, and some of the stages are quite pleasant. And as humans, we tend to prefer pleasant experiences. So you have a choice. So once you understand them, you can move yourself around between them. And subject for a different video, you can help other people move between them too. But we'll get to that later. So let's just start with what they are. So stage number 1 is a general openness. I'm open. Oh, I wonder what the world will have for me next. The first time you see this stage, you are an infant, you are a newborn. Wide open. No judgment. I wonder what's coming next. I'm ready for something new. Stage 2 are experiences. This is when you have an experience and you are in that experience. That experience is you. You're walking around telling all your friends, you would not believe what happened to me. That's stage 2. You are about that experience. You are that experience. Sometimes we get stuck and we have a hard time moving beyond an experience. We have a hard time processing the experience. What does that mean? That means moving from being focused on that experience as the sum total of who we are right now to moving into stage 3, which is your needs. So when we come out of having an experience, your needs may or may not have changed. So stage 3, we click over into I am my needs. The first time you do this a little bit as a 2-year-old, and you come back to it about 13 years old, teenage years, where your job is trying to identify what you need. What do I need? Oh, I'm hungry. I'm tired. I need to study for this test. I need good grades. I need this. I need that. I need, social acceptance and things like that. Identifying what you need. So when you see this stage 3, I am my needs, the first time as about a 2-year-old, that's the terrible twos. You're just trying to learn how to identify your needs and express those needs to your parents because they still have to help you meet those needs. When you see this as a teenager, it's now your job to not just identify what you need, but to figure out how to fulfill your own needs because you're practicing for being an adult. And so that's wanting to fulfill your own needs causes that distance, and that tends to be the teenage rift between the parents and, all. And if you have kids and you've raised teenagers, you know what I'm talking about. I feel your pain. But it's so necessary. You have to learn to fulfill your own needs. And that step 1 is identifying what they are. But until your needs are met, you are identified with them, right? You can't think about what other people need. You have something that needs is not being met, right? If you have a really bad flu or something, right? It's very hard to be concerned about what someone else is dealing with, right? Or if you have an injury, you're not thinking about the plight of others. You are your need to heal, right? First, you're the experience of how it happened, and then you are your need to heal. And that's where you're focused, is on that need and getting that need met. But it can be the same. Other needs are very subtle. So as we revisit this stage, remember it's a cycle, as we revisit this stage over and over throughout our lives, you're going to revisit stage 3 when you have a need that's not being met. But it might not be a big obvious need like food, shelter, or clothing, or income, or something like that. It might be something very subtle. It might be an emotional need. Could be a physical need, but it could be an emotional need, or it could be a psychological need, or anything like that. So It gets a little tougher to identify our needs as we get older and they become more varied and more subtle. But that's the trick. Figure out what you need. So if you find yourself being a bit of a self-centered jerk, think about, what do I need that I'm not getting right now? And figure out how to go get it. So from there, once your needs are fulfilled, you click over into stage 4, which is other people have needs too. And you start to be focused on, you take your whole self and focus it on the needs of others. Very, very common. We tend to see this the first time around 25 years old, late 20s, where we're like, holy cow, my parents are people. Do you remember when you first had that realization that your parents are human beings? They have needs. They have dreams. Amazing. And then you start to think about what other people need. And you start to imagine what other people need. And you start to put more effort into helping people. And that feels really amazing. And so that's very, reinforcing. And you get very about other people's needs. Sometimes you get so about other people's needs that you forget to keep fulfilling yours. And you end up in this cycle between 3 and 4, 3 and 4, 3 and 4. My needs, their needs, my needs, their needs. And people get stuck there all the time. It's the martyrdom cycle. It's a little eddy in the midst of the cycle. And it's incredibly common. But if you can recognize it, if you can see it for what it is, fulfill your needs, fulfill their needs, and then see if you can bump yourself past that as well. Because when you feel like you've processed your experiences, you've met your needs, and you've helped the people you love, your brain is naturally going to click over into stage 5, which is ideology. And here in the US, when I say the word ideology, most people assume politics. And in this country, there's plenty of that. But it could be also your religious ideology. In some countries, that's the first thing that people think of. It's political, it's religious, it's your social and moral ideology. It's your ideology about food, right? People have some very strong opinions about food. It's all of the beliefs and all of the rules that you've made for yourself. And the problem in stage 5 can be pretty rough, is you're not actually 100% confident in your own ideology. So you have all these rules that you live by and these beliefs that you hold. And you start swinging them at everybody else, expecting everybody else to live by the same rules and by the same beliefs. Why? Because you don't actually feel confident in yours yet. And somebody else choosing to live differently or to have different beliefs or to operate by different rules makes you feel like you might be wrong too. It makes your subconscious feel threatened because you are identified with your ideology. It makes your subconscious feel threatened that maybe you're wrong, which really it doesn't mean that. Just because somebody else chooses something different doesn't mean that you're wrong, right? You can both be right. It's just a choice, right? So we get stuck in that. So you'll see somebody else make a different ideological choice and you will feel angry, offended, start lashing out. Boy, just go online. Just go online right now. Plenty of it. Stage 5. Freaking everywhere. And so when you see that, when you see people lashing out in anger or offense because somebody did something they don't agree with, that's stage 5. And don't worry, they will probably grow out of it. See, eventually, it gets really exhausting defending your own little core ideology that for all you know, it is you, right? So to get rid of it would be to destroy yourself, because that is the self you've got right now, is this ideology. But it's exhausting. Anger and offense are exhausting emotions. They drain you. So what happens? You become completely exhausted. You click over into stage 6, which I call live and let live. You are still identified by your ideology. You are your beliefs and your rules about how to live. But you've stopped trying to get everyone else to live by them too. And most people feel pretty good when they get there. It's a pretty happy place to be because at least you've stopped getting offended and angry at everybody else who chooses to operate by different rules or different beliefs. But you're still far too focused on your beliefs and your rules for living. And that's when life will come along and really smack you upside the head. And when life comes and does, and I mean really smack you upside the head, this could be the death of a parent. It could be a major illness. It could be, getting laid off from a job that you thought would be forever. It could be a divorce. It could just be all kinds of things, but it's big. It's really big. And that's the first time that you get pushed into stage 7, which is questioning everything. Questioning everything. And I mean everything. You start questioning everything about your life. The first time you go through this stage 7, questioning everything, is called the dark night of the soul. And if you don't know what that means, you haven't been there yet, I'm so sorry, but it's coming. Because the first time you have to question everything about your life, you're questioning your career choices, you're questioning your education choices, you're questioning your relationships, you're questioning how you view yourself, how you dress, how you eat, what is God, who am I, what is my purpose. Your entire existence has just been blown to bits, and you go, what is real? And the first time you go through that, it's terrifying. It's just completely terrifying. And that's why they call it the dark night of the soul, because you've never had your entire reality blown apart before. Now, this is a cycle. So the bad news is you're going to go through that stage a lot. But the good news is, one, if you recognize it for what's happening, if you understand, oh, I'm questioning everything again, then you can actually have fun with it. Then you can actually say, oh, okay. Because the second time you go through stage 7, questioning everything, you may not be questioning 100% of everything. You might just be questioning your career or your relationship or some other piece, but not 100%. And so eventually, once you've been through stage 7, questioning everything enough, it actually becomes fun. This is the place where innovation happens. This is the place where creativity happens. This is the place where you find the third door, right? This idea that you're presented 2 choices and you go, I'm going to make a different door over here. So rampant innovation and creativity happens in stage 7. This is why when I work with businesses, if you have an innovation team, I want that team in stage 7. I want them questioning everything about that, not their whole life, just about that. And this is the key. So stage 7 actually eventually becomes awesome. At this point, I've seen stage 7 so many times, I'm like, let's go. Let's go. Let's question everything. Let's recreate our entire reality and existence in a better way that more fits where I want to be now. Awesome. Now, once you do that and you have rebuilt an understanding of, now back it all up, right? Your needs, other people's needs, and all the beliefs and rules that you lived by, including your spirituality, and you've rebuilt all that, it doesn't take quite as long as you think. Once you get through that, you get to stage 8, which is beautiful. Purpose. delightful. Lots of people choose to stay here. And you can. You have a choice. So stage 8, purpose, is where you start to focus on, now that you're comfortable with everything else, you start to focus on, what is my purpose? And really, let me narrow you down a little bit there. So what is my purpose in this life right now? Because you may have several purposes that you're here to fulfill. So what is my purpose right now? Where do I really want to be focusing my time and attention and effort that feels right? And there are awesome methodologies to do that. But that's largely where stage 8 is focused, is figuring out what your purpose is and starting to take action towards that. Very fun stage to be in. Very exciting. Feels wonderful. Once you're doing that and you're fully engaged in your purpose, then you have the leisure time in your mind to start thinking about bigger questions. What am I? And you click over into stage 9. I am a consciousness. So stage 9 is the beginning of exploration of the concept of consciousness. And the first place most people go is, I am a consciousness trapped in this body. So you're disassociating from the body and you go, I'm just this consciousness that's inside this body. This is just a suit. And that's stage 9. And it works to go there first because you need to explore the consciousness. But it's not the end of it. Because when you explore consciousness long enough, you get to stage 10, which is the realization that there is only one consciousness. So there's this consciousness in this body, and there's that consciousness in that other body, but those consciousnesses are the same. There's only one consciousness, like fingers of a comb. Each of our consciousness is just part of the same one consciousness. The moment of that realization is so profound, reality will begin to dissolve in front of you. But it's amazing to feel in oneness with all of consciousness. That oneness that sometimes people experience, whether they're doing mushrooms or ayahuasca or things like that, that they'll do anything to get back to it. Anything to get back to the feeling of the oneness. So in stage 10, you are the one consciousness in this body. But we're not done yet. Stage 11, now this takes work. Yeah, it all takes work. But stage 11 is I am the one consciousness and the entire physical manifestation that I see at the same time. I am all. Or in other words, I am. Absolute, complete, connected oneness. Now, it's really hard to stay there and like drive a car and live your life. So there are techniques you can learn to experience that and then take it back to maybe stage 10 or 9. 10's better, I think. It's a personal choice. As opposed to moving forward into stage 1. My point being, if you are aware that you're going through these stages every moment of your life, then you can take control of it. You can recognize it, and you can manipulate it, and you can put yourself where you want to be. And that's the big deal. So how do you do it? Moving through these stages is all about asking yourself the right questions in the right order. That's it. And there are tons of books out there that will help you with it. And so I put all the questions in the right order in this book, PURNA ASATTI. You can find that. Amazon, iBooks, all the places. Just do them in order. Work through it in order. Bloop, we'll walk you right through it. Do the exercises, ask the questions, do the homework, work through it. And in with that, every single task and question that I give you is a list of books written by other awesome people that will help you if you get stuck on that particular homework item. But that's how you do it. Do the work. There's no magic pill, but it can be 10 times faster than what you might be experiencing right now in your journey. So that is all about the 11 stages and how you work through it. If you get stuck and you need help, book time with me directly. You can find the link in the show notes. Thank you for joining me here in the studio. Let me know what questions you have. Find me on the socials, send me your questions, and I'll see you next time.